off the table.
Okay, so they still have some Saint respect here with the Akali as well. Doug Trio, yo, that's us. We're looking good out there.
Nice.
All right. Okay. Flowers, me and you, we got to get some bald caps. So
I feel like my haircut more naturally lends itself.
I was going to say, we're just going to have to buzz our heads.
Yeah, you guys
you got a much more reasonable expectation here.
We're going to commit, though. Flowers is right. We'll both
I appreciate that. You got to commit.
Solidarity, brother.
Azael's cosplay is already
I'm on lock.
ahead of ours.
Mine's on point.
Okay, so they do follow it up with the Cassiopeia ban, though. This is something that has been really taking over since the introduction of Deathfire Touch. And so the respect is there. But Cloud9 opt for the really early Nocturne, applying some possible side lane pressure, you know, setting up possible combinations with Nico. Definitely looking for hard engage.
I also really like this because when I think about C9 and where people would say their biggest strength is compared to LYON, it probably would be Thanatos in the top lane, right? You know, you would be thinking about this potential side lane play, Thanatos maybe being able to get an edge up there. And it makes it really hard for Dhokla to do what he did in lock-in playoffs, which is go for, you know, range counter picks and things like that. So if you want to try to counter pick Thanatos, well, now you're going to have to potentially deal with Nocturne, with Senna ult, with all these extra tools that could be there to help Thanatos. So I wonder if that would dissuade Dhokla from going for one of these more aggressive counter picks that he really kind of made famous, I felt like, in lock-in.
Yeah, should be really, really interesting as it develops because Cloud9 also, you know, they're getting the Senna here for Zven to be able to scale up, to stack those souls, and then Nautilus, the point and click, more of that dive. So let's see how LYON are going to round it out. Inspired with the team fight here with the Wukong. Honestly, I'm already thinking about early Annie stuff too, because not Annie pairs well with Wukong, but also because APA has been his by far most played champion this split, and he's had really good games on it. Been able to get really good engages and flanks, and he has been a critical engager as well for C9.
Well, both sides
going to
go ahead
immediately.
Yep. You've got the Annie ban. It's going to be solo lane focus here in the second half of the draft because we do have the bottom lanes and the junglers already selected for both sides. Not really any true opportunity for flexing these first three on either one of the teams. Lucian, Milio, of course, been very powerful recently, so we'll be excited to see if Berserker and Isles can find that early pressure here against the Senna Nautilus during the laning phase. Sylas going to be banned out here from C9. They do not want to allow that to be piloted by LYON, steal away some of these valuable ultimates.
Yeah, honestly, okay, so what is that opening up then? Because like their support and their jungle are both build, and usually when I think of Sylas bans, you're protecting against like if we have an Alistar or a Shyvana, you know, stuff
you
like
don't
that.
Want him, or Malphite.
Or Malphite, or like Gnar. You know, these types of things are what you're usually thinking about. So maybe it's something for mid lane as well for APA.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Gnar's going to get banned out here.
And the Gnar, okay.
Yeah, that's going to get taken away. I mean, I also just think Saint is quite a good Sylas player in general. You know, he is a very good melee mid laner. You know, can utilize that really, really effectively. I do think that's one of the biggest differences in play style, you know, across the board here is in mid lane, is that APA is much more on the kind of like caster side, and he's not going to play melees, right? Whereas Saint is, so I feel like they're maybe just kind of targeting for that reason to be able to deny that. TF, it's also an answer that people like into that sometimes, to be able to just kind of steal the ult and follow and roam. So maybe they would be looking for kind of more of a global play, which I feel like is kind of the APA style. You know, he is very much a facilitator on this team, and it is going to be Ryze for Saint. So it's going to have the ability to play those side lanes if he wants, and they're saving last pick for Dhokla, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, that was kind of the LYON recipe against some of these top teams when you think back to lock-in, was Dhokla bringing out all these range counter picks.
Yeah, especially if you're going against the first team all-pro Thanatos too, and Thanatos is going to have to blind, and so he blinds the tankier, just the Sion.
Do you think we get a Vayne? That's kind of my question here, is because, you know, Vayne is up. Vayne is something that Dhokla would like to go towards sometimes against these tanks. Of course, Varus is banned, so that's not going to be an option. Or do they just come out and play standard?
Whoa! We got the trademark APA Ziggs locked in for the mid lane up against Saints Ryze.
So part of the reason I think the Vayne is a little too dangerous to go for Dhokla is because of the early Nocturne. That's why I definitely agree with you as far as the you know, liking Cloud9 go for Nocturne early, because it does take away from some of the counter picks. Since C9 know Thanatos is probably going to have to blind pick this time around, it takes away some of the real threat from the more risky counter picks.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press my X to doubt right here, gentlemen, because I feel like every time we see Renekton versus Sion in the LCS, it's the Sion coming out on top in most of these games.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, to me, this just shows that LYON just feel like they're just going to beat them, right? Straight up, because they're not going for anything creative. They're not going for anything, you know, kind of counter-picky really up there on the top side. There are a lot of shields to break, you know, with the Renekton, obviously the Sion shield, the Senna shields, the Nocturne, the Nautilus shields. You know, there's a lot of different shields that you can actually pop with the Empowered W. So there is that for Dhokla, but clearly they're feeling confident that they can just play standard and look to attack this C9 composition, which I will say is very low on consistent damage, right? You send in the Nocturne, you throw out the Ziggs ult, you have to
engage, maybe even like a Ryze Realm Warp into some angle. But they do have, if Senna can scale, and Ziggs range as well for some poke damage. So it'll be very interesting to see if LYON's bottom lane can, you know, find something here. We get, oh my goodness, the all chat is going crazy already in game number 1.
Yeah, Satan already told APA to shut up 1 second in. Says 4 bans for me. Inspired's like, you are God. And then we'll probably scroll because Satan immediately after this told APA to shut up.
And remember, if you've been following the LCS this split, we've done a lot.
The LYON's comms.
Yeah, we've done a lot of LYON's comms listening, and they very frequently use that term, and they've talked about it's not disrespectful. It kind of means be quiet. You know, no offense intended.
Yeah, just banter.
Maybe a little bit.
Just a little.
In this case, maybe to
a little bit of back and forth here. But ahead of this game, Cloud9 was getting their communication streamlined for the series, as we did see their heal have to get popped bottom lane. Let's listen in.
We sound similar, Blaber. Yeah, we do. Let's try to not confuse our team. We should sign off every comm we say.
I'll just be way louder than you, so I think they'll be fine.
I'm going mid. This is Vulcan.
What's that, Blaber?
If it's passive aggressive, it's me. If it's wrong, it's Blaber.
No flash. Get flash.
If it's passive aggressive, it's me. If it's wrong, it's Blaber. That is a crazy quote.
That's one way to do it.
Back to the game, though. This bottom lane is what we had a big magnifying glass on. It was Berserker and Oz. What can they do with this Lucian Milio lane? How much of an advantage can they get? And can LYON use that to try and get a foothold in this game? But I wanted to bring this back up. Remember lock-in finals, the most important match that they actually played, also had a bunch of all chat where there's some history here with Saint and especially APA, as we do have the invade, and they are using the pushing bottom lane to steal away blue buff here for Inspired. So let's get to the action.
Yeah, let's see if we have something else to type about here immediately as LYON is ready to try to contest this. Isle's going to soak some of the damage here at the very start, but Blaber is the lowest. First blood already back over to LYON. It's Berserker cashing in with 2 bullets straight to Blaber's heart.
Blaber wanted to go get his passive auto for the AoE as he walks right into them, but he does not flash out. It does not get them a good setup for this fight at all. Playing off the bottom lane that had been pushed in and isn't going to have the fighting capability. That is a terrible start for C9 for Blaber.
It felt like he got really confident because Vulcan is over there in the brush. They obviously know this is happening. Blaber is being very careful. He walks the long way around. And, you know, when they move up to actually back him up here, it seems like Zven and Vulcan have a very different read on the situation than him. You know, Vulcan does get this initial hook down, and they're like, okay, maybe we can fight. And Blaber just goes in, but look at the rest of the bot lane. Vulcan and Zven want to back off, but Blaber's going right into the middle of all 3. They all focus him down, and he just gives over a freebie.
I mean, yeah, it's early Senna with very little mana left as well, though. So I kind of side with the bottom lane's
Me too.
opinion on that one. And I guess, you know, Vulcan said if it's wrong, it's Blaber. Blaber's gone.
Well, and this is the head-to-head all-time 7-1 in best of 5. This is not the game score. Blaber individually has been pretty good in those games, you know, as far as the stats are concerned. But Inspired always seems to have his number, always seems to win in those big moments, take the game 5s, take those big plays.
It's the clutch factor, right? It's the fact that Inspired has been the one, like the desk was talking about before we got to the series. You look at LYON's victories, so many of them, what is the emblem on the other side of the head-to-head? It's Cloud9 that he took down. So C9 has got to find an answer for this guy, but so far, it's LYON with a nice early lead.
And I will say, a lot of the time, when people are talking about these two teams, the thing that they're going to point towards for C9 as an advantage is top lane, right? Is Thanatos. But Thanatos is playing the more supportive style champion. Doesn't mean he can't be a big impact on this game. And as you see, he's already up a few CS. He's pushing in Dhokla pretty heavily. So if this Sion can win the 1v1, become that brick wall, you can create a lot of space for the Ziggs, for the Senna. And that is the way you make a difference in a game like this. And it's also worth mentioning, he's 9-0 on Sion in his career.
Whew. That is a crazy stat.
Not bad.
Undefeated. This would make it 10 in a row if Thanatos can lock in.
All right, so both bottom laners thinking about bottom half of the map plays here, but Blaber walked over the ward, and so they know he's doing Gromp. And really, just as long as LYON are cautious here, yeah, and they're going to wrap around to the Tri-Brush ward as well, looks pretty free for them, because Blaber got set pretty far behind by that invade and dying off, so Wukong's going to get to level 6. Much earlier than Blaber, and you're going to have such a big advantage. Wukong with level 6 before Nocturne gets level 6, pretty substantially, as you can see from the experience bars there, the purple one in the middle. So they're going to have a lot of priority wherever Inspired goes, and he does have flash too for when he hits 6, but Isles is in trouble!
Yeah, Isles about to drop down here in the bottom lane. The cozy campfire plus the heal keeps him alive as Berserker arrives to guarantee that C9 can't finish the job.
Yeah, it was a little bit risky. He was trying to hold that wave for Berserker. At the end of the day, he does keep his flash, loses the heal, and this is Emily's match of the week. Who has had the better record of matches of the week, Raz or Emily?
When it comes to these things, I'm always going to vote Emily over Raz.
Honestly, though, Raz's picks, even though he picked second, have actually been hitting, kind of. They've been entertaining, you know?
I just got to give Raz
like
grief.
Raz.
Yeah, Raz goes entertainment factor.
Yeah. That's respectable.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody willing to stoke the flames here a little bit.
Yeah, and dress up like a clown, and sometimes act like a clown.
The nose honk for good luck was something that only Raz could conjure up, truly.
But, you know, it's for a good reason that Emily picks this for her match of the week. We have a lot of All-Pros in this series. In fact, first-team All-Pros go pretty hard. And as Azael is highlighting, it's our #1 seed versus our #2 seed. So going with a lot of the top of the standing stats.
Yeah, and I mean, we got a lot of history between these two teams. You know, you think back in Lock-in, C9 won the best of 3, then LYON won the best of 5. Then to start this split, we had C9 winning the best of 3 against LYON again, and now they are here in a really important match where C9 has an opportunity with a series win to go to an international for the first time as an organization since 2023. So yes, whoever loses here will still have a chance, and they will still go to Arizona, but this is your chance to punch your ticket to an international and to be waiting in the grand finals right here, right now.
It's a big deal, and right now you can see Inspired
is back,
looking to invade this bottom side enemy jungle yet again. Here on the second blue buff spawn, Blaber, Vulcan, and Zven all ready to defend. APA right next to him, throws a bouncing bomb through, doesn't really get a whole lot. Paranoia gonna go ahead, get dropped. However, C9's immediately ready to punish. Flash back away from Saint, trying to keep himself alive. LYON managed to get everybody away for now. Inspired's also got to be a little bit careful. LYON on the worst of the health bar trade, so they're gonna go ahead and exit.
Whew, okay, so LYON did get the blue, but it cost Saint both summoner spells and the realm warp because he went pretty deep there, trying to go for the zone. Their call was, hey, we can make a pincer. He did get Blaber's flash, so it's not like it was an unanswered couple of summoner spells that were used, and now APA under attack.
Yeah, APA takes the satchel, but he bounces back towards the enemy turret. Inspired, ready to flash after him. Goes ahead, right back in there from another crushing blow. APA caught up in the Rune Prison, and Inspired picks up the kill.
And Inspired did not use his flash or the Cyclone in that fight over by the blue buff. Had it for that play, is able to get a kill on APA and force his flash, which is just that insult to injury. Was trying to take a risky path out of there, trying to kind of move forward. Maybe he had thought Saint went back to base and then he could kind of walk his way out that way, but at the end of the day, does get punished, loses the flash, dies, and Inspired rewarded for holding onto those cooldowns.
Yeah, really good wraparound there from Inspired. And if you're a mid laner, just like used ult and double summoner spells so you could get blue buff, and then you pay him back like that, he's going to be real happy.
That's a good payback. I like that type of transaction, my friends, as Inspired is now going to go ahead and secure these grubs as well. First Drake already went to LYON back just 20 seconds after it spawned, and now the grubs are also going their way, all 3 of them here. So nice neutral objective control by LYON here in the early game.
I will say, though, C9's bot lane doing a pretty darn good job. Yes, Berserker did pick up a kill, was able to get that kill earlier onto Blaber, and so he is a little bit ahead in gold as a result, but they are dead even in farm. Zven has already gotten almost 30 souls. They're pushing in this wave. They have gotten 1 plate already. They're going to deny some minions. So the Senna Nautilus, who you are expecting to be a bit on the back foot in this matchup early on, are doing quite well and are scaling, and that is so important when you basically are this 2-threat team here with the Ziggs and the Senna as your big damage dealers. They have to have a good lane, and I think they are.
Yeah, the tanky strats for the Sennas now with the steel caps and the helm, and just focus on your scaling and stacking up your souls. See about the remainder here, because the Blaber ultimate is back up. Nocturne ultimate available, and you can see him walking around with Vulcan. The Nautilus here, once you have Nautilus point and click, definitely is a very quick combo to be able to pull off if they can trap anyone through this river, because APA from mid lane, the Ziggs can always add that big damage onto the Nautilus CC.
Yeah, and look at the bottom side river control by C9 right now as this second Drake is spawning. Look at the amount of wards that they have placed around here. Control wards everywhere. They've got the ward over the wall here, just over that terrain near mid lane. And now Blaber's going to take the blast cone over. Bottom lane's already pushed out. C9 is focused on this Drake, and it's Zven and Vulcan rotating over, starting this one up alongside Blaber. APA also nearby. Control ward right there in the middle of the river. Vulcan goes in here with the dredge line, immediately may go Infernal Bomb over the top, but Inspired is shut down. C9 have already found themselves a kill on the enemy jungler, and that will earn them the objective.
That is your first team all-pro support right there. Vulcan with the snipe from the brush flowers. He sets it up, and that Nautilus CC into the Ziggs damage. Exactly what you're talking about. He annihilates the Trinity Force Wukong. Inspired had just gotten his big power spike here with the Trinity Force, but Vulcan right out of the brush.
And this is actually a tag team play. We're not going to see it. APA had warded over the wall and forced his clone earlier. That is why he has the confidence to flash in for there. You see that little ward spot right here. That was just cleared out. APA had warded over, had forced the clone. They knew he had no flash because of the mid gank. So Vulcan says, when you walk in this brush, you got no clone, you got no flash, no way to dodge this, and full sends it.
And you can tell Jack in the audience there, he really wants C9 to get back to an international. And he's liking what he's seeing in game number 1 there. Really good snap play from Cloud9. All ultimates used as well for the play.
And speaking of all, we're talking about all pro here. The first team, 4 out of 5 players represented here in this match. Saint and Berserker. First team all-pro AD carry and mid laner here for LYON. First team all-pro support and top laner for C9.
And a lot of these guys, especially on the C9 side, the Thanatos votes and the Vulcan votes were very heavily towards them. They got a lot of points. I voted for both of them. Berserker to me as well was the clear #1. So a lot of these guys who are on first team, it's not even like they were barely on first team. They were definitely deserving.
Their first team, they would be second team also if they could be. They'd occupy a couple of slots.
On a bad day, they're also third.
Yeah, I was one to double vote a couple of times. I didn't. I have integrity. But now C9 is looking to make a move here on the top side while Inspired yet again invades the bottom enemy jungle. Vulcan and APA going to go ahead, get this wave cleared out, and wow.
They think his recall finished. Dhokla with so much patience there. They're like, wait a second.
That is a sneaky crocodile staying here for this long. And look at Saint's positioning here on the Ryze. He is also moving up towards this lane. Dhokla might stick around long enough to truly be the ruthless predator that his W ability describes. The minion wave is going to give him the opportunity to recast the slice and dice, and there it is. Ruthless predator sets it up. Saint's about to knock it down. Beware the patience of a top laner ignored, as now they find their move. And Saint gets away from the counterattack paranoia as well. Goodness gracious, how audacious. Dhokla gets it done.
Oh my God, Dhokla! The sickest play sometimes is doing absolutely nothing. He just waits in the brush. 007 up there hiding out. And surprise popping out here onto APA. For a second, it looked like they were going to be able to get a counter kill with all this damage that was dumped down, but look at the timing on the Realm Warp.
Yeah, this is crazy. Now you see me, now you don't. Disappears before the fear tether goes off, by the way. That would interrupt it. That would also mean death. So split seconds there, making the difference. And Dhokla then got right back down to the bottom lane, because that was going to be the price of these like long staying plays where you're patient and you're staying away in the bush, but can you get back down to the other side of the map, back down to the minion wave? And so Dhokla right back down to the other side. And it is LYON increasing the gold lead to over 1.5K now.
And I just love how not only was Dhokla smart enough to stay in the brush and realize, okay, they actually check the forward brushes, they think I've finished my recall. Then he doesn't just take a recall there, he realizes, you know what, Saint is moving up, we can actually find a play here. And is able to turn that escape into an aggressive play, which turns into another escape as Saint gets out. You know, those are the kind of plays that people really credit him for.
Now, Thanatos trying to go in, find a counterattack here onto Dhokla. Blaber's ready to fly in with a paranoia, and C9 finds revenge. They knew that Dhokla had already spent everything using the dominance to trade aggressively against Thanatos, and as soon as it wears away, Thanatos has Blaber in the back pocket, ready to strike back.
Yeah, clap back there from Cloud9. Actually doesn't take very long at all. We're still singing the praises of Dhokla as he dies. So C9, first turret bonus is really nice too for them to be able to get. Blaber and Thanatos, nice combination.
Yeah, that's a pretty big kill there. They get the shutdown. Blaber gets some much needed gold here, and this is what I was touching on earlier. Thanatos undefeated on the pick.
Whew. This man has some impressive numbers for sure. And I mean, 0-0-1, it's not the most impressive, but honestly, I've got nothing to complain about.
Yeah, and on it right there too, he trades flashes with the Wukong, and he had Unending Despair, walks it off, gets out after they've gotten their objective completed already.
Okay, Vulcan finds a dredge line there on a Berserker, but now LYON is ready to return fire. Vulcan and Zven backing themselves away. Piercing Light nicely tags both health bars there on the end of the trade, guaranteeing a victory for LYON back and forth with the HP as another dredge line coming in from Vulcan. Mega Infernal Bomb collides with Isles, but it doesn't honestly do a whole ton of damage the entire time. Inspired was already taking the Drake, so that one's going to be secured for the LYON side. As Thanatos and Blaber can't really get anything here. Dhokla reinforcing means that C9 can't do a whole lot. Now LYON ready for the counterattack, coming in with a Realm Warp. It's APA the target. Immediately depth charge down onto Inspired. Has to back himself away. Flash over the wall from APA, keeping himself safe. Both sides committing some resources here. Neither side losing a man.
Yeah, they turn everything on APA there, and it ends up one flash for one flash. But they already secured the Dragon, as you say, for LYON.
Nicely done there by LYON, being able to sneak that away. And it felt like, you know, Vulcan with that hook into the Mega Infernal Bomb, they were just looking for some chip to try to set up for the Dragon, but Inspired had kind of preempted the play, was already on the objective, already taking it down, and does grab themselves that second Dragon here. Infernal Soul going to be really good, honestly, for either team, so I think this is going to be very heavily contested over the next 10 minutes or so.
I hope so. I love heavily contested objectives, my friends. It shows who's really got that planning. And I feel like when we're talking about planning, when we're talking about macro moves, the Inspired X factor is more prevalent than ever. The amount of shot calling this guy does on the team, I feel like is greater than any other individual player in the league by leaps and bounds.
And I think the next few minutes are going to be really telling for this game, because you just got your 2-item power spike for Berserker here. Whereas, you know, Zven is still building pieces on the Senna. And can you take advantage of this big Lucian power spike at the moment? In mid lane, you're trying to get chunk damage, you're trying to get priority here. But Zven with his static shiv is doing just fine. Deletes the wave, and he doesn't even require the presence of Vulcan right now, which is huge because it allows Nautilus some roam timers, even though there's nothing to get on the top side at the moment. Doing a very good job there for Zven, as long as he can plant himself and deal with the minion wave, not allow the Lucian to get any priority here.
Yeah.
And he's doing his job.
Yeah, I mean, he's set up very defensively, obviously, with the steel caps and with the Doran's helm. He just wants to farm souls, and they are looking for Thanatos here.
Yeah, Dhokla going and committing the flash to get in front of the Sion ultimate, so Thanatos cannot immediately escape. Now with the Dawning Shadow coming through, Thanatos staying alive a little bit longer, and LYON can't get what they came for. C9 now nearly has the kill onto Inspired as Blaber makes his way into the fight. The paranoia is the recipe for success. However, it's turned into a 1-for-1 trade as Dhokla gets one back. Meanwhile, up here on the top side, Saint versus APA. Well, coming in. Saint tries to juke it out a little bit. APA getting away for now. Does survive, gets a little scrappy up here in the top lane, and bottom side trades 1-for-1.
Yeah, honestly, this game is an absolute banger. What an opener to this series, going blow for blow, play for play at the moment.
Yeah, that was actually really close on that bot side. You know, Thanatos is trying to bait them. You can see Blaber wanted to hold his ult until they're fully committed under the tower to be able to utilize that in the 2v2. They had Zven with the Senna ult. That was going to be able to build them some time, and they are able to get a kill, but LYON played that very well. They didn't just go full retreat. They were still hitting Blaber the entire time that he's chasing after them, so they're able to focus down Blaber and make that, you know, 1-for-1 at the end of the day.
Good moves.
Berserker doing a lot of damage there to Zven, weaving those spells back and forth with the passive. Takes a nice chunk out of the Senna HP, but here's another look at what happened to the bottom lane.
And you can see Blaber's already there. He could ult in at any time, but he realizes Thanatos isn't going to actually just get burst down. Let's wait. Get Zven in position, Senna shield, W gets popped, the Soul Furnace there from Thanatos. That gives him that big injection of shields, and then Blaber comes in, lands the Fear, is able to train down Inspired. But notice Dhokla is not just running. Dhokla is fighting and looking to get that kill, turn that into a 1v1. A 1-4-1, excuse me, as Blaber comes down.
I didn't need to die, but it's still good. It's not bad. Yeah.
There's no ghost.
Renekton though, flash though.
Okay, Blaber recognizing maybe there was a more effective way to play it, get out without having to trade, but still happy with the overall result. And honestly, this game is super close. Only a couple hundred gold separating the teams, as Inspired is certainly driving the Herald somewhere. Okay.
This is a risky spot.
Oh, and
ran out of gas.
The brakes and loses all the gas right before it hits the target. LYON not quite what they wanted there from the Herald.
Yeah, I kind of want to see why he jumped in where he did. You know, I didn't actually catch the very beginning of that play. You know, we saw C9 moving up to look for something a little bit aggressive, maybe threaten an invade, but the Herald only has so much duration, and the charge expires right before crashing in, so he has to use the clone, the Cyclone to get out. At the very least, he did not die, and it was the paranoia traded from Blaber. So, you know, honestly, not that big of a deal for LYON.
Yeah, no flash spin, right? It's not like you've lost your big summoner spell engaged for the upcoming potential fight. If LYON gets this Drake, they're on soul point, which becomes then very threatening
Thanatos.
for C9, as Thanatos might find himself in a compromised position. He is a Sion. He's still very tanky with the 2 fully completed items, and he will just be able to walk this one away.
I retract my
That's a Sion. It's not a concern. C9 happy to regroup with their top laner. Everybody's hanging around this Drake right now, though, as the Realm Warp is about to come in. Inspired goes over the wall while Dhokla goes in with the Realm Warp, but he's caught over the wall. He's all alone, instantly loses 75% HP. LYON still looking to contest the Drake, but they got to be careful. Their top laner is very injured. Vulcan goes in with the dredge line. He finds the back line, but Milio escapes for now. Azael still alive, Vulcan very low, but Saint's the first to die. Traded away for Vulcan now. Inspired's in the middle of everybody trying to get away here with the clone. He does steal away the Infernal Drake, but Inspired falls. It's a 2-for-1 favoring C9, but LYON take the objective and go to soul point.
Exactly. The fact that Inspired is able to pull the rabbit out of the hat there in the middle of all of the Cloud9 members, steals the dragon. They were trying to stop damage on the dragon and focus him down, but he says you cannot. He is using the ult, he is getting it low, and then clones backwards, kind of jukes him out, is able to finish it off with that Q smite and move them to soul point, which is so big for LYON.
Yeah, it's clutch plays because he also kills Vulcan. When Vulcan goes for this initiation, he's looking for Berserker. This hook actually ends up hitting Isles after this initiation. So this beginning was good poke damage for them onto the Renekton, and then they get the wraparound. And here's where Vulcan is going to go for his hook onto Berserker, but it ends up hitting Isles when Berserker dashes away. Then as Vulcan gets low, he retreats down to Inspired, and Inspired is going to be able to not only finish off him, but then also get the smite on the dragon as all of Cloud9 are trying to kill him. Clones back to the side, finishes it off, and clutches.
Hey, good job, guys. Take a deep breath, though.
They still, yeah, they still.
Don't read those lips.
Cloud9
Don't read
fan
those lips.
watching from home right now just had the same
He
expression.
said, "Nice try, team."
Yeah,
As the
he wanted
the
the
next
dragon,
one.
but
In
the
T,
kills
in T.
are good too.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's a 2-for-1. It's a 2-for-1. 2 is the bigger number. You're
Yeah.
having a great time.
They got 2 kills. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, you just don't look at the dragon count,
Yeah.
because that number's a little bit more concerning.
Ignore everything else.
Yeah, here for the next 3.5 minutes, C9 can plan how they're going to address the next Drake, because that's when trouble rears its head. Mega Inferno Bomb flies out. Isles and Berserker staying plenty healthy thanks to the cozy campfire, but it's C9 continuing to push towards the mid lane tier 1 turret. Remember, APA on the Ziggs means the Satchel offers incredible pushing opportunities.
And you can see that whole time, they were confident to just keep Dhokla split pushing with no teleport. They don't care. Yeah, he can finish off the bottom side tower, and they're trying to just hold here and try and hold off this Cloud9 onslaught. But again, the range that we talked about earlier with the Ziggs and the Senna starting to show a bit here with some of the siege mechanics.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is going to get harder and harder as these C9 members do scale up. You know, Zven, as he's getting more and more souls, APA as he's getting more and more items. That poke is really dangerous, but the engage is pretty explosive here with the combo of Realm Warp, of Cyclone, of Renekton coming in. You can Realm Warp multiple or even just one of them into that back line and try to look for these pincer plays here. And they're very strong in the side lanes as well with the Ryze, because Saint is completely keeping up in gold with APA.
So I have to ask you guys, because we've got a very close game state in terms of gold. Obviously, the Drakes favor LYON, but we look at the scaling on the side of C9. You have the Senna, you have the Sion. They both scale infinitely. APA Ziggs is a monster. Does this next Drake define the game, or is it bigger than that?
I think it does if LYON gets it. I think that you don't outscale them enough that you can just ignore an Infernal Soul, especially with such a high damage comp. So to me, if C9 do stall out, you know, get the next couple dragons, then they really are going to start to outscale. But at this point, it's so close, and one dragon gets them Infernal Soul, and I think leapfrogs LYON ahead.
Right, a little bit of playground games, a little bit of leapfrog. You do not want to be the lily pad, you want to be the frog.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. Okay, 90 seconds until that dragon spawns as C9 are early to what is going to be, I'm sure, the scene of the crime later, one way or the other, setting up vision around this battlefield.
And it's always incredibly important too, whenever you're getting to the soul, you're usually getting the third items for junglers. So Guardian Angel completion does look like Blaber is a bit further, ahead than Inspired. Overall, he is ahead a marginal amount of gold. But if you can actually get to that completion,
that's huge.
That is everything for a Dragon Soul fight, because both these junglers are full send junglers.
They go in.
Exactly. Either Nocturne or Wukong being able to be the point man for the play.
And Berserker did go for, kind of the cheaper item completion. He has a faster 3, he has a Black Cleaver, didn't go straight to the IE, so he's not going to have an IE for sure. But if Zven can get to an Infinity Edge, that would be really, really big. He still needs quite a bit of gold, so he's not going to be able to get there. So we'll just be on these components. Berserker is going to be stronger for this fight.
All right, 25 seconds as AD carries will fight one another over the wave. Not really one another, but one another's minions as those get cleared out, and it's still C9 Vision controlling the Dragon Pit.
And remember, too, that LYON have the option. They don't actually have to do Dragon. They did push on top side, and they have cleared out the Vision around Baron, but looks like Saint's coming down for possible Realm War play, so everybody going towards the Dragon fight.
Yeah, it's like you said, I mean, they don't have to. If it looks bad, they can back off. But at the same time, that's buying more time for Sion and Senna, which is a big risk itself. So I think they want to fight if they can.
Inspired trying to step up here, but he walks over a ward. C9 has placed down in the brush. Vulcan eats a ultra mega fire kick there as C9 regroup back in the river before taking any poke.
So Blaber hasn't back to complete his Guardian Angel, but Inspired has. So will we see the Wukong full send use the extra life right now? Blaber's trying to recall, and he is Nocturne, so he can join from a far distance, and he's not on Vision. So LYON do not know that he's just gone to go complete his GA, and I think C9 are going to get away with it.
Yep, Blaber also only level 15, critically halfway there to that level 16 point where you have the massively increased range on Paranoia, so a little bit more limited engage opportunity, but he has rejoined with the rest of the team now. Guardian Angel up and ready to go for both of our junglers. 3 full items for both of them. 3 full items on Berserker, as mentioned earlier. No Infinity Edge for Zven. C9 going to go ahead, start up the Dragon right now, but no sort of commitment, as the Dragon is allowed to be pulled outside of the pit here just a little bit. Inspired and Dhokla looking for the opportunity to make some sort of a flank play. Dhokla behind enemy lines, not seen yet. The Dragon down to 2,000 HP. Inspired going in, looking to smite this thing away, as now we've got a whole lot of damage into the back line. Zven's under pressure, but he stays alive for now. Inspired and Dhokla backing away. Saint trying to draw some fire here on the left side of the fight, has to flash away. The Dragon still at about 5,000 health, as LYON continuing to try to look for the Infernal Soul that created space, but C9's got the edge. Beautiful dredge line coming in from Vulcan. Knocks Inspired down into the Guardian Angel, but Blaber's got to be careful now too. Inspired getting away from decimating smash as the culling flies out. Zven and Blaber both barely hanging on. Dhokla going into the back line. Can't find the LG, but Berserker goes over the wall. Berserker wants everybody, but he won't be able to find it here just yet. Blaber still hanging on just barely, but he stays alive. Inspired wants the Drake. A little bit more damage, might secure it. Infernal Soul over to LYON. C9 still fighting, Snake getting himself away for now, firing right back. Blaber stays alive, 200 HP. LYON, Isles, and Saint still looking for a little bit more, going after Thanatos. The immunity of the unstoppable onslaught gets him away. Good lord, man!
That was a crazy team fight. Berserker as well as Saint coming from opposite sides. Pincer attack in the pit there. They're able to knock down Zven, they're able to knock down APA, and they pop the GA from Blaber. And while he's in GA, Inspired finishes the Dragon, takes the soul.
Smite in 8, smite in 5. Wait,
Okay.
Ziggs flashed
I just
already.
use Wilson slow. I'm stay here though.
Careful, Nautilus hook from
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I can
I
change
have
them.
GA, I have
Look,
GA.
look here, look here.
Ziggs no flash,
They're gonna
Ziggs
try
no
and finish
flash.
right now.
Okay.
What's Senna?
I have no ult
Okay,
now.
look Senna.
Ziggs no flash in the
Okay,
pit.
I'll try get 6.
I'm looking Jigs.
They are stuck. In the pit. They are stuck.
Coming
Yeah.
to you.
Kill Dick.
I have Dragon
Yeah,
now.
okay.
Kill the Nocturne, I will get the Dragon.
Hit the Drake, hit the Drake, hit the Drake, hit the Drake.
Get the Drake.
They don't have
Nautilus,
damage.
Nautilus.
They don't have damage.
Oh.
You guys
Just play
can
with
win.
Saint.
Just
You
play
guys can
slow.
win,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think. No,
Yeah,
Nocturne's lose.
keep going.
Sion has no mana.
I
They
mean,
don't have damage. They don't have damage.
Just no flash.
No flash Sion, no ult Sion.
That was
Whoa,
so well.
hold on, we're already back live. Blaber goes in, and Berserker's already immediately dead. That's 2 picks for free. Going over to the C9 side. LYON trying to get something back. Blaber has already died. Dhokla's into the back line. A massive flank coming in from Big Dokes. Zven falls down, and Inspired is not done yet. Vulcan and APA try to run, but LYON's not done. Dhokla needs a little bit more distance. Can't quite find it. He gets the slice. He gets Ruthless Predator. He gets Vulcan. Thanatos trying to return a little bit of something here. And together with APA, they have the damage. As soon as we're out of the replay, it's a 3-for-3 bloodbath in the mid lane.
Yeah, the fighting continues. APA damage there. Barely clutches it for C9 as they're kiting back. His bomb's not going to be able to find anything on Inspired, but still trying to do so. What an insane Dragon fight, by the way. The call when Berserker flashes in the back of the Dragon pit. Anyways, back to live, or excuse me, back to when we got back to live out of the replay. As he said, the action continuing, and they just used everything. Nautilus ult, plus the Nocturne ultimate, plus the Ziggs ult to delete Berserker, but then still LYON had the counter.
And how about Dhokla here? Basically solo kills Zven in the back of that fight. Otherwise, that would have been a C9 fight for sure. They got a double kill on the bot lane instantly to start. LYON 3v5 that, and thanks to Dhokla getting back there and killing off the Senna so quickly, they're able to make that an even trade.
This is some good League of Legends. I like these fights, Flowers.
This is fun, man.
It is getting scrappy down there. The one for the Infernal Soul just has so big of rewards here. The extra damage already was on display in the previous fight. And that previous fight we just saw was with C9 instantly deleting the Lucian at the very beginning of the fight. So let's see what it looks like here as Cloud9 getting vision around the Baron.
Yeah, Saint now going to be the victim of the C9 wombo combo. Seeker's arm guard buys him only a moment, but that moment ends in a shutdown with kill credit going over to APA. C9 starting up the Baron.
Yeah, they just start the Baron with Senna. You could stay so healthy on this, so LYON will have to respond.
Okay, LYON with the 4v5. Culling finding a ton of damage here to APA. Thanatos ready to charge in. Unstoppable onslaught. Clone used from Inspired. Nice placement on that one. Guarantees no efficacy for the Sion. Dhokla still on the backside of the pit. LYON successfully stopping C9 from grabbing the Baron. APA goes ahead and takes a recall.
Yeah, he gets his recall off. I was wondering if there was going to be a more aggressive teleport back into it with the 4v5 still in place, but they're going to call it at that. He just is safe teleport back to the team and they reset up, but now there's only 17 seconds left on this Ryze, who will have Realm Warp, though no teleport to get there.
All right, the Ryze 10 seconds away. LYON still just trying to slow C9 down enough. Blaber continuing to DPS the Baron, but very slowly. Got it down to about 7,000 HP. Blaber going over the wall now here with the paranoia, turning their attention over back onto Dhokla. They're going to kill the enemy top laner. Dhokla falls, but the Baron stays alive. Now, with Saint back on the field, again, C9 will not be able to claim the Baron, but that's another kill they get onto LYON. C9 now up 3,000 gold.
Yeah, they do get a couple kills here, but they realize, all right, Saint's back. This would be way too risky against this Ryze at this point in the game to go straight back into that Baron pit. So it's going to be a play likely for the Elder here now in a minute. And we talked a lot about C9 scaling. Obviously, the Soul really still giving the advantage to LYON, but we are plus 100 stacks here for Zven. We're at 1,600 plus health here from the Soul Furnace for Thanatos, who is going to be a brick wall. And Blaber has opened up a 2,000 gold lead plus the Serpent's Fang to deal with some of these shields that they have over on the LYON side.
And we're seeing the Cloud9 frontline be incredibly effective even when their opponents have this Infernal Soul. In the previous wraparound Baron, Vulcan is marking the flank there, so he finds Dhokla. They know LYON, if they don't have Dhokla flank and Inspired as the main engage, as long as they can mark those players, then they still should be able to keep Zven safe and still should be able to have a good setup for themselves. Not to mention the potency of these picks. Like when they full send all of the ultimates on Cloud9, if you are isolated, you are dead.
Yeah, it is terrifying. You know, you got to have Isles around. It feels like have any hope of actually surviving that. Berserker does have his IE. Zven decided to go for the Hex Optics before the IE, so he's still working on his Infinity Edge. Is sitting on enough gold for the BF sword, but not enough for the combined just yet. And is not going to have time, very likely, if this Elder fight just kicks off right away.
Vulcan with a dredge line coming out of the barrage. Dhokla is found, flashes back over the wall, escapes Mega Inferno Bomb, but losing the Summoner Spell plus the Dominus is a large loss of teamfight power here for the Crocodile. LYON still looking at the Elder. C9 hanging around the area. They've got everything except those two ultis, but those have been huge in the C9 playmaking so far. Let's see if LYON can find an angle here. Looking around in the enemy jungle, exactly. Inspired, using the sweeper, checking to see if he can make his way forward. Dhokla now ready to join back in the fight. He has the shield from the teleport, but he does not have Dominus still. Remember that. LYON still hanging around. Dragon still at 75% HP. Thanatos here on the front line, trying to get in the way of anything LYON tries to do. Elder Dragon down to about half health now. Inspired trading with Thanatos. Dhokla seen on the left side of the fight as Saint drops the Realm Warp, but nobody's going to go in. Instead, Inspired in the middle of everybody here with the Cyclone, but a lot of damage arrives onto Saint. Oh no, he locks up Blaber as he goes over the wall. C9 trying to find their way to the injured LYON health bars. Blaber's about to die. It's Resurrection coming out for both junglers as APA falls. Berserker kiting back into the pit, but Thanatos is way too strong. Saint's going to be killed off here next. Dhokla trying to go after Zven, nearly finds him, but he can't quite get it done. Vulcan doing a great job healing. Thanatos is invincible. They can't get through the Sion, but the Dragon is about to die. The Elder Dragon goes over to Inspired as Dhokla, Isles, and Inspired continue trying to fight. Thanatos wants his escape. He's a very tanky Sion, but where in the hell is he supposed to go?
He's going to have to wait for the ultimate and try to drive out of here if he can keep the space. It's up in 2 seconds. He'll be looking for that escape ulti and should be able to get it, but Inspired again gets the objective as they were able to focus down Blaber after his GA, kill him off before Saint and Berserker fell. So even though it feels like C9 are winning the fight, as soon as the Elder goes to LYON, it doesn't matter. You got to run.
Yeah, the LYON, the calls there were so good in the team fight. They used the Realm Warp to force pressure as we're going to see the Sion get chased down and the Elder Dragon.
Oh, Isles tried to go for the Flash Ultra Mega Fire Kick, but it hits you first, it slows you, and then when it bloops onto the ground, that's the bit of a knockback, so he doesn't get the CC he needs for the interrupt.
Not a quick enough bloop under the ground, huh?
Slow bloop. Yeah. Nothing worse than a slow bloop.
Unlucky.
No. That's not what you want.
Unless you're Thanatos.
Yeah, Thanatos loves a slow bloop. That's great.
Always said that.
This is actually such a crazy game, though. There, when LYON used the Realm Warp to put the pressure on the back line, and then they kind of chase him around, Saint actually buys a lot of time flashing back around the other side of the fight, and really opened up the opportunity for LYON to take down Cloud9's jungler and earn themselves the Elder, which by proxy usually does earn you the Baron as well.
I feel like Elder earns you whatever you want on the map usually, considering...
So if Baron is up then.
Yeah, Baron kind of falls under the everything umbrella, and LYON will be happy to take that one. The C9 gold lead now shrunk down below 2,000. as LYON still have that Elder for a little bit longer. They've got the Baron for the next 2.5 minutes, and they're pushing top lane.
But look at these waves. You know, there's nothing really happening here on the bot side. Mid wave is pretty neutral, so it's all about top, and Ziggs can clear this out pretty effectively. Does use the ult. They just got to shred the waves, buy time here. They know they are just waiting for this Elder. And look at this. The Elder buff does not have long at all. That is going to run out very soon, and that is what C9 is counting on.
And that's exactly why APA committed the ult, like you're saying. Just nuke that wave, make sure that they can't force the fight right now. They're going to go ahead and try anyway as the Realm Warp arrives in. Doke's going into the back line. Inspired's taken low here at the very start, and Blaber already kills him off. Blaber trying to get away, stays alive, but Dhokla grabs the kill there with the Elder Dragon execute. Thanatos going to die now too. The brick wall has fallen as LYON break their way into the enemy base at the very end of the Elder Dragon timer. It is a 4v3 as Berserker and the rest of LYON try to charge forward. Berserker the healthiest here on the team. This Lucian very, very strong. Zven has a ton of range here on his Senna, trying to defend, but the first Nexus turret has already fallen. C9 still scrambling. Berserker down to 1/3 HP now. As LYON don't look like they'll be able to continue a whole lot further, but they are going to keep trying. Dhokla still clearing out the minions on the side waves. Cozy Campfire here trying to keep Berserker healthy enough, and he's healthy enough, but just barely. LYON are forced back.
Yeah, they're going to be forced back here. Dhokla just getting the dominance back now. If he had that a little bit earlier, if he had his flash, which is coming back up a little bit earlier, they probably could have closed out the game. But critically, Zven and APA do survive in that fight. Even though they lose their front line, they are still alive, they still have a chance, and they are still scaling. 132 Senna stacks now, 1,700 plus health here for the Sion from the Soul Furnace. Death Cap now completed critically as well for APA. The IE's been done for a while. So these guys are reaching that terrifying late game status. LYON is still in control of the game. They still have all their tier 2s, but this late into a game, one bad team fight, that doesn't really matter. You can just march down and end it. Yeah,
and the potential, again, for these picks can be so devastating. Looks like C9 fully corralled in their own territory, though, as Berserker's not going to waste any time. He even goes past the tower as it's falling. But with super minions on top side, it's very easy to just push mid and bottom at the moment, keep the siege up, Baron empower these cannon minions, and they do the work for you.
But you only have that empowerment for the next 20 seconds. Guardian Angels also up and running on not just Inspired, but Berserker as well. Completed that purchase after the recall from the previous push. LYON still up with their Infernal Soul, still up about 2,000 gold. That gold lead doesn't mean a whole lot. 41 minutes into game number 1 here in this best-of-5 series. C9 held on to the lead for a very long time, but now LYON is back in full control, and it's less than a minute and a half until the next Elder Dragon spawns. Yeah, and I feels like it's going to come down to these Elder fights. Obviously, Infernal Soul is still a very good advantage, but when you're accounting for all of the scaling on C9, the game starts to feel very even besides the map state, where they have that open and him top side. You know, they have knocked down more structures. They are closer to winning the game, but Senna and Sion are so strong this late that it is always really scary. Zven trying to work towards a GA of his own. Blaber has come back off cooldown. Inspired and Berserkers, though, theirs are up and ready. Zhonya's is ready for Saint, so it's tougher to get a pick on these carries from LYON, where APA's got no defensives, Zven has no GA, so if you can get on APA or Zven and burst them down, that could be lights. And that's what Dhokla's been trying to do in every single one of these team fights. We always see the Renekton swooping around for the engage, but now immediately Inspires onto APA. The Ziggs staying alive for now, trying to get himself away. Saint does damage into the back line now as well. Vulcan's already down. Dhokla goes on a killing spree. Blaber's under pressure. Mega Infernal Bomb coming in from the right, but Berserker has already killed off Zven. C9 scrambles. C9 tries. C9 dies, and it's LYON applying fangs to throats as they find their team fight win. 42 minutes into the game, a clean 5-0 to end game 1.
Game number 1 certainly delivering. C9 tried, but LYON are going to take it.
They'll march this one on to the Nexus. What a battle. 43 minutes on the clock as the Nexus finally falls. If this is any indication, we are in for one hell of a series as LYON starts one up.
And I gotta say, Dhokla in the late game on this Renekton was insane in these fights. He was always finding great angles. The use of the Realm Warp and his flanks was fantastic.
Yup.
I would not have thought that 42 minutes in, the Renekton would be more useful than the Sion. What do you think, Lounge?
I think these are the two best teams in the LCS right now.
Let's go!
That game was decided by so many different small things. It's hard to pick what to